Okay, guys, I think we are ready to start. We're about to start. Florian is connecting with us right now as we speak. Cool. Hello,
Hey,
Florian.
how are you?
How are you?
I'm all right.
Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Very good, very good. Okay, guys, so we're going to begin. So we've prepared some questions. Most of the questions that I'm going to be asking you today are questions that the kids have chosen to ask you. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Uh, so before we start, how are you? How's your family?
Doing good. My family's back home in France, in Paris, where it's kind of like similar to New York. They've been in quarantine for like more than a month now. They have another month ahead. But they're all right so far. They haven't killed each other, so it's good.
Good, good, good. That's awesome. So this is our first question of the kids. So we have two players, Jonah and Mateo. They asked, what have you been doing to stay in shape? And how many hours do you train?
What do I do? So we have a workout that is sent to us every day by our team's trainer. We do like it's either running or it's either strengthening. Strengthening sometimes is with the whole squad via Zoom, like a video session. So it varies. So it's nice to be able to run outside and stay inside and do different things, different type of cardio, strengthening. And in terms of hours, it could be like between an hour and 2 hours, depending on what I want to do. Sometimes I go a little bit more because I kind of want to be on the ball after running and after my strength session, as I do some ball work. But it all depends. It doesn't matter how many hours you do; it's just the quality of it.
Excellent. That's really, really, really important for our players to hear. So awesome. So let's get to it. So I'm going to give our viewers a little brief resume of your life, your current life, and not finished, obviously. So you were a youth player for PSG. You were integrated at 14 years old, and you spent a few years there. And then you were integrated into Monaco. And then after a couple of years at Monaco, you were brought to the States. You chose to go to the States, Rider University, which is, I believe, also Coach Clément's alumni.
Oh, Clément Bourret, yeah, yeah.
And then you slowly integrated into the RedBulls via trial.
Yep.
And then now you are flying. You had a great start to the season. I was watching. Too bad they had to cut it short.
Yeah, I've been unlucky for the last 3 years. So just be patient. That's all I can do right now.
Good. Awesome. Yeah. So before the last 2 years, you injured your knee ligaments, your ACLs.
Yeah.
So, but you've been able to come back stronger. So that's awesome. So let's get into when you were really little, young little Florian. What age did you start playing soccer, and where did you play? This is a question from Lucas from our U7 team.
So started when I was 5, 6. I had just moved to Paris, so it was a brand new start for me. I was playing with my friends, so we had a really, really talented young squad. Maybe my favorite years, because when you're young, you just don't think about like making plays. You just think about having fun. So yeah, I think I'm not gonna say I started late. I just think it's a good age. But yeah, I started in a little town called Croissy-sur-Seine, which is like in the suburbs of Paris in the west. It's really close to the PSG training fields. So we had a bunch, but actually we had a bunch of players back in the days, like the Ronaldinho era. They used to live in my town, so it was kind of like a big thing.
That is a very big thing. Very cool. And you trained how many times a week with your club, and then did you do some sort of training on the side of it, or was it more just kind of recreational, go outside and play with your friends?
If I remember correctly, when you like really young, it's like 2 to 3 times a week max. I didn't really do much outside. Of course, when you were at school and then you had recess, you would play soccer all the time because this is how you competed. But there was no like playing. There was some times where I used to play in my room and break things, which was not cool because my parents would get mad. But it was not that intense that it is today, where you see young players just start young and then just do like loads of work. It can be a good thing, but I don't think it matters at a young age. I think that what matters is just having fun.
Wow, that's a really good answer. I think we're exposed to a lot of that, where kids are playing 7 days a week in very organized scenarios with 1v1 coaches, and team settings, and they kind of lose and forget this aspect of having a lot of fun and just being around your friends and kicking the soccer ball.
Yeah.
So you played with your local club until the age of 14, and then you integrated into PSG, or was there a step before that?
It's a really long story, but I traveled a lot when I was younger because of my parents' work. And age 9, 10, I was invited to do, which is a big thing. I was invited to a tryout for Clairefontaine to get into the pre-academy, which is like massive. And like the same year I had to leave because we were traveling to settle in Scotland for 3 years. So I was not able to attend that tryout, and I flew to Scotland and just started playing like the English type of football, like kick and rush, which was another type of like fun and then football. But yeah, I didn't have the same like the actual path. I came back when I was 13, tried to through connections, tried to get into academy, especially the PSG, because I was living like 15 minutes away. Didn't work out, so I went back to my hometown, which was in like one of the lowest division in France. And that same year, I got recruited to try out for the regional and regional team. Made the team, went to the tournament. We had a great tournament. I had a great tournament as well. Personally, there was a lot of scouts, and then this is where I got recruited by PSG. I had a bunch of other scouts who tried to recruit me, but my parents decided to go to PSG because it was close. We were in mid-season, like for school especially. They didn't want me to leave school, so they were like, just go to PSG. It's just next to you, to the house. Finish school, and we'll advise after that. And so I entered the academy when I was 14.
So you were scouted. You were scouted right before the age of 14, or they had known about you before?
No, it was really random. I made like those triad for the regional team. Well, it was department team, like the 78. Like I don't know what you call that in English. It's not the states, like the county. Basically, it would be the county.
Yeah. So I think it's the equivalent of ODP, or kind of the regional team that they have.
Yeah. Well, I tried with that, made a team. We went to the tournament for the regional tournament. We finished there, which was the best finish ever for this team. Like I had a bunch of goals. I was like ranked in the top 5, and there was a lot of scouts because this is where they recruit like young players. And yeah, PSG was one of the options, and this is how I ended up there.
Amazing. That's awesome. Is there a specific coach before PSG from your youth that really kind of pushed you and taught you things and really influenced your decision?
There's a bunch of coach, of course, like all the coach had an impact on the way I play and the person I am today as well. It started really young. I think they all pushed me to get better because they knew I could like work and get better as well. I could name all of them. Honestly, they all act on the way I played. Even though, like for example, when I was in PSG, I had like it was really hard, especially academy years were really hard. But all those coaches were hard, tough. It pushed me, and then yeah, there's all of them. Honestly, like
that's good. That's a great answer. I think you were exposed to a lot of coaches that brought different little keys to you. So now we're going to go to the PSG part. I think this is the really exciting part because, all our kids, they dream of one day being integrated into a PSG or a Olympique Lyonnais or whatever else there is. What's it like to be part of PSG, their youth system, and what's a week like? Is it 4 trainings a week, or go into that?
Yeah, it's a pretty big thing. Like PSG is one of the best team in France, one of the best academy in France as well. There's a lot of competition because this is where this is the region where you find the best players in the country. So all the best kids are recruited. There's a lot of competition because usually it's 2 to 3 players out of 30 that are going to turn pro. So it's like a 10% ratio, even less sometimes. So it's pretty tough. And the week looks like they put a lot of emphasis on education, like school, because if only 3 out of 30 makes it, like the other 27 have to go back to the real life, meaning like the 9 to 5 jobs. So basically you do a training a day where you either in the morning or in the afternoon, and based on that you do schools. So like if on Monday you go practice in the morning, you would do school in the afternoon, and it would bring those teachers to the academy where we have all the classrooms, and then we would have like 2, 3, or 4, 5 hours a day of class.
Okay, that's great. And in terms of the coaching style, do you think they focus primarily on the technical side, the tactical side, physical, or was it kind of a combination of everything?
It's kind of a combination. When I was recruited, the typical player was big, strong, physical, less technical. Of course, you work on basics like technical drills, whatever. But most of the guys were like big players, fast, strong players, and I was a skinny, and fast, but like not as strong as anybody else. So I had to rely on my technique more than anything. Of course, over the years that changed. When you look at Spain now, like it's young, like not young, but like small and technical players like Iniesta, Xavi, Messi, like. Which Messi is an Argentinian, but like you can see that physically it doesn't matter much more anymore. It's more like technical players and intelligent player. But it was really hard to adapt because it's really physical, and then playing against those type of players, it can be hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So going into this kind of French way of doing, so obviously we're the FFF representation here in the States. So I think parents always are asking, what exactly is the French way of doing stuff? So you experienced obviously the French way, the Scottish way for a little bit, and then the USA way. How can you kind of compare the different styles and kind of what do you think each of those respective styles brings to your game?
Well, the Scottish league, I'm gonna say, because I started really young. I was young when I was there. It's like when you think of Sunday league, it's like not a great pitch, and then physical, fast players. And I was a fast player at the time. I hope I'm still are, but they would like just put long balls behind the defense, and I would run and score goals like that. So that was more like kick and rush over there. When I went to France, like the system, I can compare the French system to the American system because it's clearly different in terms of the academy, the residency, which is starting to change here in the US. But when I got to the academy, like you would eat, sleep, and then just think about soccer the whole week because you were in the residency, like in the dorms, and then just going everyday practice with the same players, the same people the whole year. And then you worked on like the basics, technical and then tactical, and then be more intelligent. When you come here in the US, the system, as I said, is changing. They're relying on more academy, but there's like when you go to the academy from, I would say, like through high school and then you move to college, this is a drop in level basically. When you're in the academy here, this is how I feel. This is how I view the thing. So this is my personal opinion. But you would practice, for example, with the Red Bull Academy for 5, 6 years. And then the 20 guys on the team have a really high level. And then you go to a college team where 11 to 12 guys are really good. And the rest of them are okay. So like you kind of level drop, basically. It depends on where you're going. And I think this needs to change in order to like have better American players coming out of the academy. It is changing, which is good. We see a lot of young players, especially at RedBulls, that get the opportunity to play. But bringing the French system here and then the French way of training and relying on technicality, intelligence, tactical movement. This is the most important part of the game. Like a small and intelligent player will be 10 times better than a strong and physical player because he'll be smarter when he receives the ball. He knows where he is. He knows where to play. And this is how football is supposed to be played.
Amazing answer. I think that really gives an insight to our kids on exactly, the differences and some of the other aspects. It doesn't always have to be physicality. It can be skill, and it's also very intelligent. And I think that's a lot of the part that Jean-Claude, who's the director of Clairefontaine, who comes and works with us, he speaks a lot about the intelligence of players. That's really a high component into their development. So that's great. So now we're at the point where you're kind of making decisions. And at a certain point, did you ever feel the pressure of becoming a professional player?
There's a lot of pressure when you go through the academy in France, of course. You compete against others just to get that contract. So there's a lot of pressure, a lot of competition. You want to do well every day, every weekend. And then there's only 11 spots on the field. So when you're not on there, like it's tough. Mentally, it's tough. And then sometimes when I moved to Monaco, I was by myself. So I had no families and friends the first year. And it was tough mentally because you have nobody to rely on. Yeah. But that helped me get better mentally. I think this is one of the biggest aspects in sports, like mentality. If you're not strong up here, you won't be making it because you can be an amazing player, but like if you're weak mentally, like you'll never get to the next step. So yeah, it's kind of tough. Like going through the academy when I was not offered a professional contract, it was for me. I was like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know. I went on tryouts, it didn't work out, and I started working in a clothing store. So it's like my journey could have ended just right there. So it's a matter of like perseverance if you really want to do it, and then a little bit of luck, of course.
I think that sums up the next question. So the next question was, well, what advice would you give to your players? And I think resiliency and training.
Like work always pays off. It doesn't matter like how many hours, as I said earlier, how many hours you play, like you practice a day. It's more like how efficient you are with your practice. You can work like 15 minutes and have a perfect 15 minutes and then have an hour and just do like terrible stuff for an hour. And then the 15 minutes will be better than an hour. Yeah, and I think you need a little bit of luck to make it. I think when I got that call to make the move to the United States and go to college, that kind of changed my life because I was like, I still want to play. And I still want to study and then I'll have different doors open in case neither of them happen. And then I was lucky to make that tryout and have teams that wanted me and offered me a full scholarship. So
that's amazing. So you go to PSG, you then get integrated into Monaco. And how many years did you spend at Monaco before you decide, okay, maybe this might not be the best path for me. Let me kind of look into other opportunities about going to the States and getting an education while also continuing to play soccer?
So I spent 3 years. At the end of my third year, they didn't offer me a contract. As I said, I tried to, I went on tryouts, didn't work out as well. So I started working. That was around August. Started working in October in a clothing store. And then I got a call like late December to have tryouts in January for first MLS, which didn't work out, and then for college after that, where I got offers. No, it was not hard because there was a bunch of international guys on the team as well. I was really well welcomed. They were amazing. I think I had 2 amazing years at Rider University. Yeah, and they helped me integrate really well. I think we had a bunch of French guys as well. So it's hard when you move when you have French-speaking students or players, it's hard to like force yourself to speak English. But I tried to, and I think I had a good a good background because from living in Scotland, so that was a little easier to pick it up. But no, I think it went well, and I acclimated super fast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then it obviously showed on the field. And then so now we're almost at the last step. We're almost at current Florian Valot. How did you get integrated into the Red Bulls?
I went on a tryout at the end of my senior year in college. It was late December, like early December, and I went home for Christmas like I always do every winter. And when I come back, I got a call from the coach at the time, which was Jesse March, who was like, can you come to preseason with us, just practice? And so I started practicing with them. They went 2 preseason in Florida, and I told them I wanted to finish school, which was a priority for me. So while they were still in Florida, I kept practicing. And when they got back, I started practicing with them pretty much like 3 or 4 times a week, going back and forth rider and then training ground so I could go to class. And then after I graduated, they signed me. That's how it happened.
And then you were integrated into the Red Bulls too, and then eventually
into the Red Bull is one of maybe the best MLS team that has the best system in MLS, basically. Yeah. When you look at Tyler Adams, who came through the academy, or Connor Lade, who just recently retired, like they all went through the academy. They went through academies. Now there's the USL, which is the reserve team. So they do academy, reserve, and then first team. So there's a really good path, and then they really rely on young players. They pay attention to young players. So it's a really, really good system.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And then you had a couple of difficult injuries, and now we're here. 2020 season, then you start off really well. First game of the season, I think you got 2 assists.
Yeah.
Flying. So too bad it had to stop. But once we come back, I think everything will go back to normal. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little rapid fire. So it's basically I'm going to ask you a bunch of quick questions. And so the kids and the parents can kind of get to know you. And there'll be some kind of funny questions. And then we'll have a couple of questions from the audience, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
Good.
All right. So let's say we'll do 2 minutes. So best player that you played with in your youth?
Carrasco.
Favorite player of all time?
Thierry Henry.
Okay. Your first Red Bulls game was against which team?
First team or second team?
First team.
It was Tijuana in Champions League.
Good. Favorite team growing up?
Arsenal.
France 98 or 2018?
98.
Good. Favorite playing memory so far?
So many. The 4-0 derby, my first year with the first team. We played NYC, won 4-0. My family was there, and I scored, and it was amazing.
That sounds pretty good. If you weren't a footballer, what would you be?
If I was what?
If you weren't a footballer, what would you be?
Never thought about that question. I don't know. I think I would stay in the sports industry. I don't know. I've never really thought about it yet. So.
What's it like playing in front of the Red Bulls fans?
It's so fun. Everywhere you play, especially in the Red Bull Arena, it's one of my favorite stadium in the league. Like, it's just an amazing stadium. Feels amazing. Atmosphere is amazing. I wish they had more people. That would be just the best thing ever.
Hopefully soon.
It's just an amazing stadium, and I think if we can pack it every weekend, it would be just. It would be nothing better than this, honestly.
I agree completely. How do you feel about NYCFC?
Well, rivals.
Good. So that's about it. So now we'll do a couple of questions from the audience. So guys, if you want to write it down in the comment section. Apart from the Red Bulls, what teams have you played in for your professional career? Just the Red Bulls, right? And Monaco?
Sorry again. Yeah, no, just professionally, it's just Red Bulls.
Good. We have a fan. We say we're going to the Red Bulls game as soon as possible. Yes, I think we'll all come watch you. Why was Henry your favorite player?
I don't know. I think at the time it was just at his peak at Arsenal when I really started watching and following soccer. And he was just doing amazing things. So I don't know. I don't know what to explain.
That's sometimes you're just attached to something. Do you feel stressed when you're not on the soccer field? Do you know how to function?
I'm anxious before games, but never during. It's like it's not even stress. It's just like I'm being impatient. I really want to get out there, and then I'm getting antsy like 2-3 hours before the game. So it's I don't know. I think I don't see myself doing something else. It's that sensation of like wanting to get out. It's just the best.
Did you always play a winger position throughout your life, or did you change?
No, I started as a striker, a pure number 9. And then they moved me on the wing, and since then I just started like never moved. They play sometimes at the RedBulls. They played me 10 like my first year, but mostly I like being out on the wing.
Okay. So we have a couple of questions. So this is from, is your left foot almost as strong as your right foot?
Yes. The reason why is when I was younger, when I would get a little knock on, for example, my right ankle or something, I would just be still playing, but with my left. So that's how I improved my weak foot.
It's amazing. That's usually what happens. Let's see. What else do we have? If you had some advice to give to our FFF players, what would it be? I think we already went over this, but you can add a little bit more.
Yeah, I can sum it up. I think when you're young, maybe, okay, I get that you have aspiration and dreams to get to the next level and then become a professional. I think you can never forget that it's just a game in the first place, that you need to have fun. Of course, working hard will help you to go far, but just remember to have fun, persevere. I don't know what else to say. It's just like, if you really want to make it, it's just work, listen to your coaches.
Perfect. I think that really sums up fun and the hard work. I think those are things that, you know, we try to instill at this club. You know, I think the coaches know a good amount, but it also comes from the players as well. And they're going to make the decision of how much to work hard, and their thinking and everything they do is really important.
I think the good thing about FFF is that you guys use coaches that are French, and I went through the academy system in France, so they know how it works. They know they have I'm not going to say they're going to have a better eye than American coaches. Like, don't get me wrong, like they all have different views on it, but if you really want to learn the French system, they are the best coaches out there that can teach you, and then just they've been through it. Like, for example, Cyril or Clement, like they've been through the academy system. They know how it works. They try to apply it here so that you can have a professional environment. And yeah, so like listening to them is better than thinking that you know better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know, at a certain point, everybody has to make a decision. Do I really want to pursue this, or do I want to have an education and play soccer? And, you know, a lot of players, they go through this college route and they make it to the pros, which is a great surprise as well. And, you know, I think a lot of our kids, they're always thinking pro, but there's other avenues to go. And then obviously education is really, really important. And I really am happy that you mentioned this numerous times in your PSG days, and then in your college days. The academic side is really, really important as well. So I think that's gonna be a wrap. But thank you, Florian, for everything. Be well, be safe, keep training, and you have the whole FFF family behind you. And we'll try to get everybody to a game at some point and make big signs and embarrass you a little bit.
That's fine. I like it. I don't care about that. It's the best.
Good. All right. Thank you, Florian. Be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Take care of yourself and stay healthy and safe, okay?
Bye, guys. Thank you, everyone. Bye.